Greetings and salutations. Haven't made one of these in a while. Figured I was probably due. What's going on in my world? Big news. Well, okay, big for me. I got, not yesterday, but last Friday, I got my edit letter for A Wolf at the Door. This is my edit letter. Ta-da! There are 5 pages. It's mostly what I would think of as cosmetic stuff. Changes, small changes, like, you know, maybe my meaning wasn't perfectly clear, expand a thought a little more. I get a lot of notes about, hey, remind the reader what happened in the last book, because you mention it, but maybe they don't remember, so expand a little. Really, I don't think I've ever had a bad edit letter like they talk about. You know, I've heard horror stories from other writers about, hey, we don't like this character, remove him completely, and ditch this plot line, it sucks. And I've never had that. I mostly what I think of as cosmetic. So what I thought about for this video, since I got my edit letter, is I would kind of walk you guys through how I edit. I know you're fascinated. So I have the edit letter. Generally the first thing I do when I get my edit letter is I let it sit for a couple days. I read through it and then I let it sit. Find that even the most overwhelming comments tend to mellow out and become more logical if I just let my brain absorb it for a few days. This one, like I said, it actually went really quick. I spent all of last weekend working on my first read through, and I'm pleased with where I'm at. So anyway, what I do when I get my edit letters, I let it sit for a couple days. I also typically get my last version of whatever manuscript it is printed out. I go to Kinko's. They're wonderful people. They bind it, they put a cover on it, and then I'm organized. So I have A Wolf at the Door, and that's the book I'm working on, and then what version I'm working on. So this is my edit letter version. You will see here on my desk, I never throw anything away. That's my problem. I also happen to have The Devil's Backyard second draft, and you're thinking, what is The Devil's Backyard? Well, The Devil's Backyard was my original working title for A Shot in the Dark. So that's second draft on that. What else do I have here? Second draft of Muse, and A Shot in the Dark edit letter. So like I said, I never throw anything away. Someday when, you know, maybe I'm really famous, I can auction off these early versions and make a little money. Ha ha ha. It was funny. Anyway, I have A Wolf at the Door. I get it printed out. I read through it, and I have a pen. I love pens. I love shiny pens, glitter pens, gel pens. I have a pen fetish. This one's purple. Sometimes I use red. This is like my new favorite one because it's really smooth to write with. Don't ask. I know I have an issue. So anyway, I take my pen, I read through my book. I scribble in the book. You can tell I've written everything. I don't generally rewrite scenes at this stage. What I do is I read through and I see a sentence and it reads funny to me, so I'll just mark it, say awkward, or rephrase, or change. I'll match it up with my edit letter. My phone is ringing, hold on. And through the miracle of television here, I'm back. As I was saying, I write notes to myself. Typically things like expand, remind, you know, and that's my cue to fill in more on the things that happened in a previous book. That's been the most challenging thing for me writing sequels, is that I have to find a nice balance between rehashing previous books and still providing reminders. I mean, yeah, for me they're all in my head. They're all pretty present for me. But for a reader, for you, the typical person reading this, you read A Shot in the Dark this year, let's say in July when it came out, because of course I know you all went out the day it was released and bought the book. I know you did, because you're awesome. You're just awesome. And then it's going to be an entire year before you read book 3. I think the last release date I heard was going to be August. I don't have an actual date. August next year. So, and believe it or not, in that whole year, you guys aren't living with these characters in your head like I do, and these stories bouncing around. So, I have to find a fine line between rehashing previous events and still reminding people what went before so that they don't feel lost. And of course there is also the odd chance that someone picks up book 3 as the first book they've ever read, and I don't want them to feel lost either. I want them to be able to say, okay, I don't know what happened before, but I kind of get the idea, and hey, maybe I'd like to know how that happened. I should go back and read the first 2 books. Okay, I'm a dork, leave me alone. So I write those notes to myself. I also do write notes to myself saying, insert new scene here. And sometimes I'll go and I'll just write that scene just on a whim, just write it individually. I don't even open up the other document. Just blah the scene, and then when I'm doing my typed in edits, a lot of times what I'll do is I'll put the one doc here and the other doc here and figure out on this one where I can insert and make sure that the transition goes well. I have to make sure it blends. I also have to make sure, like for the one new scene I know I'm going to write, there are things that are going to happen in it that are going to flow downhill. They're going to affect things, even small things like the color of Jesse's shirt. That's going to change. Oddly enough, these are things I think about. And if you don't watch that, if you don't watch how edits flow through the rest of the book, you wind up with things that don't make any sense, and then your copy editor looks at you and goes, huh? So I have those notes. I have, due to blah 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 scene, this has to change. Because of event XYZ, which is new, event K over here has to read just a little differently. I also go through my edit letter and I make notes on here. You can kind of see where I've written scribbles. I put page references on here, like this one. I can address this on page 66, that concern, and these concerns are going to be addressed on page 81, 84, and 85. This concern is going to be addressed on page 129. So that helps me when I finally go through everything, that last brush, that last polish, before I send things back to my editor. I can go through the edit letter and say, yep, handled that, handled that, handled that, just check them all off. My goal, I don't have to have this done till the mid-November. It's my technical deadline. Today's October 15th, so I've technically got a month. Ideally, I would like to have this done by the end of October. I'm an overachiever, I admit this. But part of my motivation for getting it done before November is if I get it done before November, maybe I can do Nano. For those who don't know, NaNoWriMo is National Novel Writing Month. It's for the month of November. Everybody sits down and tries to write 50,000 words. And understand that a full novel, especially an adult novel, is usually much more than 50,000 words. My typical first 2 books came in at about 80K. Typical urban fantasy novels, 80 and up. So actually mine are semi-short. So yeah, I don't typically finish a novel during Nano, but I can get a really good chunk of one in. And yes, I do have this nifty new idea. I'd kind of like to scribble down one of those random things that came to me a couple weeks ago, and if I don't get it out of my head and on paper, it may drive me mad. I've done Nano before. Night of Fire and Ash and Peacemaker were both Nano novels. Last year I was working on A Wolf at the Door for Nano when my edit letter for A Shot in the Dark came in the middle of November, so I had to put the novel aside, and so I didn't actually get to finish Nano last year. And that's okay. You don't win anything but, your own ability to pat yourself on your back. So my goal is maybe get these edits done on Wolf at the Door by the end of October. Might do Nano. I still haven't committed. I want to polish up the I have a bunch of notes scribbled down for a potential book 4 for the Jesse James Dawson series. I want to get that polished into an actual synopsis on the assumption that somebody somewhere is going to want to know what I have planned. I still have not had that discussion about further books. That's coming. Hopefully after they accept book 3, that's coming. I got word yesterday that another urban fantasy series that I dearly love, an author that I have followed, his series has been canceled due to poor sales. And really that one kind of hit me like a punch in the gut, because it's like, I don't know, it just seemed like an omen. It was very sad to me. It's like, that's entirely possible. They could just say, no, we don't want any more. And I don't know, that bothers me. It bothers me a lot. I'm hoping that is not what happens to me, but the publishing industry is weird lately. It's just weird. I'll keep you guys posted, of course. So right now my plan is I sent a list of books to my new agent, the wonderful Ginger Clark. She's so freaking awesome. I sent a list of her of books that I have in my head bouncing around, not Jesse James Dawson stuff, other stuff. She picked out her top 3. Sadly, Muse was not one of them. Nobody likes Muse but me. Well, it happens. My plan of action for the rest of the year is I am going to do these revisions. I might do Nano. Got to polish up a synopsis for book 4. And then unless I know for sure that I'm going ahead with a book 4, I'm probably going to sit down and finish/rewrite Night of Fire and Ash. I read through it again this week, just something to do. And you know what? I love the world. I love the world I've created. I am such a world-building whore. I love the book. It's not finished. That one was a Nano novel I didn't finish. I think what I'm standing at right now is about 52,000 words, and maybe another chapter to write still. And that's going to come in way under what it would need to be for a finished novel, but I always write short. Typically, my first drafts come in about 75% of my finished drafts. No matter what my goal was, it's always 75%. It's kind of weird. So I figure if I hit about 60K with the first draft of Night of Fire and Ash, then I'm good. And that's kind of my plan. I still feel like I'm in limbo here, kind of waiting to see what the world does with me. And that's where I'm at. So I guess I better quit playing with my camera and get to work.